What is up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? My name is Jade, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and lovely assistant Hannah, and also a really awesome dude, actually, and his name's in the title, Simon Anderson. Simon, how are you doing? Oh, hold on. I did it again. Say hello again. We just
Hello
missed
again.
like 3 seconds. 3 seconds.
Oh well, I mean, it wasn't that impressive. 3 seconds with me never really is impressive, but
I don't want to know about that, Simon.
oh yeah, I'm sure you.
Yeah,
There's
fire the
plenty of
stream
girls that
guy.
could
I
tell
can't
you.
even unlock the mics. We are here. This is the Wednesday podcast. I'm dabbling with calling it the Epic Wednesday podcast because a couple of people have mentioned that to me. So let's play with that. Not set in stone. If you've got any feedback as to what the name of the podcast should be in the future, really open to hearing about it. I'm sure Simon is as well. Today, guys, we're going to cover a few things. I don't actually know what Simon has in his folder, but we're going to be talking about a little bit about Ice Cube, because Ice Cube has been getting a little bit of a hiding lately on social media for trying to reach out and trying to do better for Black America. Hannah, what have you got today?
I just want to talk about since our last conversations, we've had our elections here in New Zealand, so I just wanted to discuss that a wee bit with you guys, and maybe you intelligent men might want to have a few points to say about that too, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Did you just call us intelligent? Look at Simon's head already. It's blowing up. Thanks, Hannah.
That's just the big dome.
Thanks, Hannah. We look forward to that. And Simon, what are you thinking about for today?
I've got a little bit of a spicy topic to do with American politics. I mean, it's low down the priority list. It's a bit out there. I'm happy just to input my spicy takes to the other topics. But if we have time, something to do with the with Democrat presidential candidate and his son, and potentially what they have just recently handed over to the police, and the contents of that device.
I just want to say, I think I know all about this, Simon. But, as with every Wednesday...
I don't, so I look forward to it.
Yeah. Hunter
Oh, you
Biden.
Probably shouldn't, but yeah.
Just
I guessed who it was, but I don't know the story, so I'd love to hear more. So yeah, great.
But before all of that, ladies and gentlemen, as we always do on the Wednesday podcast, and because I'm driving the stream, I always give myself the space to ask a question of the day, which is more like a question of the week. Simon, are you ready for this one?
Hit me with it.
Alright. So the question of the day / week is, why are people so eager to be led? Why are people so eager to be led? And we'll give Simon a minute to smoke on that one, and Hannah, we'll go to you first of all.
Really?
Yeah, because you always get the preview.
No, I've been struggling with this, honestly. Why are people so eager to be led? I don't think it's good enough to say why are people so eager to be led. So I guess that's why I've been blue screening a wee bit, because I don't think it's good enough to be led.
So start there then. So do you agree with the premise that people are eager to be led?
Certain people, I guess when you say the word eager, that's what trips me up. It's often those people that don't want to, focus and just want to be in something mundane and something, quite laid back and they want to be directed in their job. They don't want to be the leaders. They don't want.
Oh, so you're looking at it from a job perspective.
I'm next going to go through that and going. People look at that in life. They look at right. What should I be doing with my children? And they look at, they question themselves as parents, and then they go and research all about these parenting programs, and then they think, okay, yeah, no, that's what I should do, that's what I'll do, and
they need to be led by someone else.
And feel like they need to be led. And I just think it gets worse, though, when they start actually being led by their own parents as adults, and...
Beta!
Yeah. I think you need to step up, and you should start directing your life, even if it's just in one area. If it starts in study, if it starts at home, if it starts in your work. And I think there are some jobs that you are told what to do and that's it, but a lot of jobs you are able to be innovative. So I think you just need to start being innovative and not be afraid to be innovative.
Cool, we'll leave it there for now, Hannah, and if you have any other thoughts we can add them on later. Simon, why are people so eager to be led?
I almost laughed when you asked it the first time because you paused after people, so I thought the question was, why are people? And I thought, wow, Jade, these questions are getting a little bit too abstract.
Why are people?
Why are people? So thanks, Hannah. I guess I agree with what you said about work and how that parallels to other parts of their life, and that it is an easy kind of cop-out route to just accept what is common practice and to implement that in your life. I think the main reason why people are so eager to be led is basically genetics and history. Like, there's been tens, hundreds of thousands of years of humans and their ancestors of living in tribal settings. There was one person who led the tribe. There were the elite people that worked alongside the top person at the top, and the large majority of the tribe just worked at the leader's discretion. Like, that was how people survived. And if you didn't toe the line, you were exiled, you were killed. Like, it's built into our hardwired genetics that we love authority and that we love somebody to tell us where to go and to give us a picture of this ideal we're striving towards, whether it's, back in the days of our ancestors traveling across the African continent, it was, we need to stick together. There's an oasis over these hills. If we work together and we all head in this direction and we do these things, our tribe will survive and thrive, and so will your family. And then you get to modern day society and you turbocharged it by all these people who understand human psychology far better than anybody else, right? You look at Edwin Bernays and the history of propaganda and what he was able to achieve and how the propaganda became a naughty word based on what the Nazis did with it. But Bernays's uncle, I think, was Sigmund Freud, who was the father basically of human psychology, and he took his uncle's teachings and applied it to advertising and figured out the cheat codes to make people respond with emotional triggers. And so what we've got in the last few hundred years is, Edward Bernays is basically in the last 100 years, but what we've had is every single media and politician and powerful figure in our society, even businessmen, understand human psychology and understand how to get the average NPC, bot, drone, whatever you want to call them, beta, your word, Jade, they understand how to get them psychologically wired to just absolutely love what they're being told to do. And that's my thoughts on that and why people are so eager to be led.
I really like that, and just because I always seem to forget to actually respond myself, I might actually respond this time, and I think I agree with like literally everything you guys have said, and I would also say that um, I would offer at least that people are just keen not to have to think about the answers.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yep. Ignorance is bliss, right?
yeah, if someone steps up with the answers and says, this is our problem, this is the solution, back me and we can get it done," then that's why people are so eager to be led. And just on that though, being that we're in an apparent age of enlightenment anyway, it's sort of like I'm really keen to understand why people in this day and age are so eager to be led because of the information, tools, and resources at our disposal. Do we really need leadership anymore?
Well,
And
the leadership that we've got is proactively discrediting any sort of avenue people can get to free thought and to self-government governing, right? Like
I have
there
to
is
agree with that.
there is the what you call the accepted way of life that is controlled and manicured by people in power, and anytime you try to use this wealth of resource and information at our fingertips, it's censored, it's fact checked, like it's at every step of the way you are criticized and ridiculed for stepping away from the treaded path.
Yeah, and again, I just say, so then is that leadership or is that control? Because getting really down and dirty about it, you could argue that in some people's eyes, humans are resources. And I'm not trying to go too close to home, Clement. Like I kind of fell into that one, but it is relevant to the health and social sector too. People are literally resources that can
There's
that can achieve means for people in more esteemed positions.
I mean, it's one of the arguments for communism, right? Like, is that humans are a resource and that they should seize the means of production because they deserve to. I don't know how to explain it, right? Like, if in the world of capitalism humans are treated as resource, then the humans involved in creating the products that those resources are involved in should have control over that.
Yeah, I don't think so. The bit about capitalism is the the investment and the risk. Where
Yeah.
when you look at the true blue communist angle, it doesn't take into account investment and risk. It just takes into account what happens now. So all well and good to account
Perfect.
for all well and good to account for production now, but how do you produce more? Like who's taking that risk? Who's making the investment? Is everybody making the investment? And
Well,
how would you make decisions at scale? Say you've got a workforce of like, let's be conservative here. Even if you had a workforce of like 70, how would you get a decision over the line to make an investment if the workers all had an equal stake in the decision? Like that's
weren't you asked?
hey?
Yeah, I was going to say, weren't you pondering the ability to decide nationwide on policy instead of parties and looking at potential ways of doing that? So I think you could use something similar of, I mean, there probably is the technology and the platforms now to give people that equal weighting and get their opinions captured quickly. I don't think it's efficient. I think the capitalist model makes decisions a lot more efficiently. No clear answer on quality of decision making, but definitely the model of hierarchy and authority allows for quicker decision making.
Interesting that you raise the collective decision making, because I suppose the key difference is no one has to buy from my business, but I have to live in society. So I think that's just a tiny differentiator why they're not apples to apples. Because if I'm being forced to live in society, if I'm forced to be governed by laws that are agreed at some level, then I should have some direct input into those laws and regulations. Like, I think it's wrong that you have to not only pay for the construction of a water tank here in Auckland, but you also have to pay to get it certified by the council. When you consider that companies like Coca-Cola stick a pipe in the ground and say, "Sweet, bro," and then they just make millions and millions off water they didn't even pay for. I don't really get that. I know we're sort of sidetracking a lot, but yeah, that's the reason I'm so against regulation and too many laws that hinder freedom. Because if you want to collect water and you're dumb enough not to take reasonable steps to ensure that water is healthy, I don't know what to say to you. Like, if I had the ability to collect my own water and not have to pay the council for it, I would do everything. I would probably do more than the regulations require, because I could actually afford it. That's why socialism and regulation is so backwards for me.
Fair enough. I mean, that Coca-Cola example sucks, man. Like, it's so clear, and I can't think of any other way. But there are some people in power who control water access that are absolutely just living life, because there's no way people can just pump water out of the ground in a country like New Zealand and just send it straight overseas without anybody like caring about what we're getting compensated for it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, somewhere someone is getting bank, and it fucks me off.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, Simon. The first place I go to is the company's office. If we actually had the time in the day, it wouldn't be too hard to figure out who was benefiting. Once you peeled back all their trusts, of course. All right, Hannah, did you want to go first, or shall I?
Yeah, no, I'll go first. I've just got talking points. I don't necessarily.
Do you have any graphics for me? Did I receive any?
Oh no, I didn't send them to you in the end.
Okay.
So we had our election on the 17th, and
What is the go? Give us the real go, because I heard it was like 64.
so that is what I was gonna just get to. So, just to first give you guys a breakdown, there is a choice of 16 different parties that actually put forward, and
16.
you can nominate. So 16. So currently we have five, sorry, not six. 5 that have got back into government, 120 seats. Now, Labour has got 64 seats.
And this is without the special vote.
To govern, they need 61 seats alone. So it has not been done in over 50 years where it has been a single party. Every other time it has been a coalition. So 61 seats for Labour, 1 for the Māori Party, 1 for ACT, 10 for ACT, 10 for Greens, and 35 for the National Party.
Well done. Thank you.
So, my thoughts are, everyone has their own rights and own individual thoughts, but listening to the media, listening to what has gone on, Jacinta, the Prime Minister, was thanking so many people for, voting Labour because they had never voted Labour before, and, just the way she was doing it, I felt it wasn't sincere, and I feel
Oh, she just grosses me out.
Our media has twisted people and twisted things, and we haven't actually seen the opportunity for the smaller parties to be actually back in government, and that was the whole reason why New Zealand went to...
Because they didn't want a one-party system.
To mixed member parliament system.
Yeah.
Not past the post. So I feel like just some of the smaller parties might not have been recognised by new voters, by people in general.
The Opportunities Party never got in. They got, what were you telling me before the show, 1.4?
1.4?
Damn, man.
I like the Opportunities Party. Voted for them in the past.
Like that guy, Jeff Simmons, he is former Treasury. So he actually knows his shit. Like, he actually knows what makes the bowels, if I can use that term, of the country actually work.
So we have over 17,000 special votes still to come in. They think that it may just change, the individuals, not so much the parties. So
You got that from me, though. Is that actual fact? Do they predict a difference in the amount of seats for the parties?
they do predict that there could be a few more seats. So I'm not one to understand this, but a few more percentage to national, which would probably make sense that they'd have a couple more seats. So I'm guessing Labour would lose a couple. So that's something that I was just trying to understand, but it's been an interesting one, and I just feel like it's been really highly publicised that we've only got two parties, and we're not, Democrat. We don't have one side or the other.
Yep.
And I think we could be doing more. And I think, I agree with Jade. I think more people should be actually able to commit and actually contribute to individual policies.
Yeah.
Now, right now, why aren't we able to mix up all these different policies from all these different people, and we're not hearing the best? That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, please?
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, like, whereabouts are we moving to? Because I don't know if I can do 3 years of this shit. To be fair. Like that's one question I've got, and the other one just is, I guess really why I'm disappointed, not just because I actually care about the livelihoods of New Zealanders, is because they don't really have a check system anymore. They're going to be governing alone. Every single bill they pass will pass, because they've got the votes. And like, it's not about me not liking Labour. I've said this to you and Simon before. I'm actually a libertarian. Like, so check my Wikipedia. It's been that way. It's been that way since back in the day. So I'm actually libertarian. I'm not party loyal in any sense. But yeah, I don't like that there's a check system. I don't like that under a Labour government there was a bill passed that enabled police to remove you from your home home on suspicion of not complying with COVID guidelines. On suspicion. Like, when we start getting those kinds of things in laws, people go missing. You know what I mean? And we're yet to hear about who that law impacted. And that is by far the most anti-freedom law that I've ever heard of. And granted, I'm not a legal scholar. I'm not a lawyer by any sense, but like I read stuff. Okay, I like to understand things, and this doesn't seem right. I'll hand over to Simon for your thoughts.
Yeah, I was following that quite closely when they were introducing new legislation or updating it to give extended powers due to COVID. And one of the things I saw come up as a counter argument was that, the police already had these powers under the under the State of Emergency Act, and that because we had to keep declaring a state of emergency, these powers were actually far greater than what they were trying to put into law, and that the law constrained those powers to the COVID response, not just for any reason due to being a state of emergency. I don't know if that alleviates the concerns. Me personally, I'm always quite a distrustful of establishment person, you know, like I'm always going to question. Yeah, I mean, because there's very little examples of established governments across the world that have had the best interests of their own people at heart always.
And Simon, you speak to my heart, mate.
Yeah, and what Hannah was saying before about the two-party thing, I don't really absorb a lot of standard media like TV or anything like that, so I don't know. I'm not the average eligible voter at all. Neither are you, Jade, I believe, or Hannah. You know, we're just not the average person. We're a bit more engaged, a bit more savvy, and don't consume standard media. But
hold on. So are we saying the average person is not engaged?
Yeah, fuck yeah. You cannot tell me that the average person in New Zealand actually pays attention to politics besides the headlines they see at the 6 o'clock bulletin and the 3 months that leads up to the election date. Give it a month, I tell you, everybody that was posting on social media or, get out and vote doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Like, I've never thought about it like that. I just thought civics and civic participation was important to everyone because...
Absolutely not.
Like I said, you live in society. Like, you're bound by these laws. Don't you have an interest in influencing the law and influencing regulation?
You think, but in New Zealand, people just think, I've got it good, or I can't do anything about it. And so they disengage. Bro.
That's why I really think is, I can't do anything about it. I think Labour's just going to win, so I'm just going to vote for them. I don't care. And that's where I really come down to feeling like a lot of those votes came from. They won a lot of those seats because they thought, they're just going to win. I'll just vote for them. I don't know who to vote for. And that's it.
Yeah. I think
Simon, you go.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I think the referendums helped increase engagement in the polls as well in the election.
Yeah.
And I think there was what I call the casual voter, right? They just turn up for the election and just vote and then disengage. Don't really care about local government. Don't really care about lobbying to their MP. I don't even do any of that, but I pay attention to what bills come out in between election times and either offer public criticism or personal criticism about those things. So I think it was bizarre seeing those TV debates feature only Jacinda and Judith. It was
thank you, man.
It's so weird. one, there should be a different format of discussing policies and what a potential government would look like if that party had a majority. Like, you know what I mean? They've never really discussed potential partnerships.
Exactly.
They brushed and and when they did talk about partnerships, it's like a friendship level. Like, oh, are you best buds with this party? It's not like,
Yeah.
where are you different? What sort of policies do you disagree with? You know, you had stuff, and then it boiled down to ultimatums. Like, if you're in government with Greens, would you discuss the wealth tax, or would you bring that to? And
Yeah,
it's like, it's not discussion based in reality.
yeah.
Nobody works in absolutes like that. Only a Sith works in absolutes. Star Wars
And
giving
Jade
you the
Farrar,
gospel.
to be fair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Simon. You make some really mind-blowing, amazing points.
Can I just say one other thing,
Yeah,
too?
sure.
Is I'm not saying that I'm leaning this way, but I think the National Party decided to put their leader, choose their leader, change their leader at such short notice because of our current Prime Minister put a woman against a woman. They didn't see it that they could put a man against our Prime Minister, and I think
I really do think it was that petty that they saw.
I disagree.
Okay, so I think they saw Simon up against Jacinda and thought, he's not actually tall enough. And she's gonna beat him. And then they said, we need somebody else. And then they got that guy whose name I can't even remember. And then thought, nah, he's a little too white middle-aged male. We probably need to go head to head. And then they got Judith. That's how I think it actually went down.
I think it was a lot closer to what we saw. I think. Okay, I don't know how the Labour Party works, but it's a lot easier for me to make the assumption that there is a shadow party behind National in terms of donors and the people that potentially used to be in the party, but the old guard of National, they were directing Simon to behave in a traditional National manner, and he couldn't do it well, wasn't performing. They got their more conservative Todd, who I think on his own steam and by being hoodwinked into thinking he was capable by his campaign manager into rolling Simon, and it's his name Todd Mueller, by the way. Todd and Nikki had no idea what they were doing. Todd kept sticking his foot in his mouth and couldn't take the public harassment. His family obviously couldn't take the second-hand embarrassment. I honestly do think he had a mental breakdown, and good on him for taking the time off. But if you can't take the heat in the kitchen, don't roll your leader in the year of an election.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then they were just left with Judith and Jerry, who are the only senior figureheads with any sort of public reputation that would be able to lead. I think in the next year or so, let's see how it plays out. But this Christopher Luxon dude, I thought he would be a feature much sooner. The way they talked about him in the media, you could see they quite heavily loved to talk about him as soon as he joined the National Party. I thought, nah, this is the pre-written predictive programming story. Like back in the day when Jacinda and Simon were just MPs, they used to put them against each other on breakfast TV all the time. I used to see.
That's what I was going to say. They basically grew up together.
It's like they groomed them to go head to head, and potentially, if we're getting really put your tin hats on here. There is some agreement between National and Labour to differ slightly in some policy areas, but keep this conservative direction that they're heading in, conservative if you're quite left-leaning, a little bit socialist if you're on the right-hand side of them, but they sit very center and don't differ much. It's like they're like, okay, well, we can't have one party in power forever, but let's just, flick back and forth between each other every few years or so. And so they had these two people they identified as the leaders, Jacinda and Simon, put them in the public eye as young ones and thought, okay, Jacinda.
I entirely agree with that. Like, the writings on the wall, they started sitting next to each other 7-8 years ago on breakfast when Paul Henry was still doing it. And he used to make fun of them, talk shit about them. I remember they were barely mid-20s when they started with Paul Henry. Yeah.
It's like that kind of shit shouldn't be a coincidence, don't you think? Like, I'm sounding like really spicy talk, but like that kind of stuff just doesn't happen by accident. Why put these two people up against each other all the time and then they end up being the leaders? Like, there is some grooming going on that it's not public knowledge.
I do have a question for you though, Simon. So I've lobbed in a few jabs already about what I think about the current parliamentary makeup. And we all know that I'm a libertarian though, so I don't want to get emails about, you're not appropriate to be working in public service, because I am. These are just opinions. But Simon, are you worried at all about a parliament that literally has no check and balance system anymore?
Yeah, that's like a silly question. And it doesn't matter who would be in power.
Yeah.
Without any checks and balances, without any sort of sounding board, the ability, the ability to pass any bill, or to kill any bill. You know what I mean? Like national and other parties put up. Yeah, national and other parties put up bills that are of good quality. Like, wasn't the Enabling Good Lives something that came out of national?
Exactly.
So it's for them to just be like, oh, no, we don't really want that to happen, or, well, we'll let this happen, and you don't make a noise about this. There's all those backhanded discussions that could happen because of it.
Like, I wasn't going to make it about my work, but just for 2 seconds, like, could you imagine how much my life would be wasted if EGL was reversed?
Imagine if they just totally adopted the health and disability review. Oh wait, did they mention EGL in there though? I think they did a little bit.
Don't get me started on the review. I'm working very hard on that as well. But could you imagine if EGL was reversed? Most of my adult life would be meaningless. Can you imagine that? I mean,
not entirely meaningless. I'm sure you've improved the lives of lots of people so far. Your future would become a lot more uncertain.
It would be like respawning. Maybe that'd be a better way to put it. It'd be like respawning. It'd be like, what do I do now? Yeah.
And I just had one question too, Simon. What do you think that think about, or you might know a bit more, that the results of the referendums weren't announced on election night?
That they're being held up for 2 months. Do you think that's fair and reasonable?
2 months doesn't seem fair and reasonable. Like, surely once all the special votes are in, that's it. Like, what's there to recount? I don't get it.
Yeah.
So what I read is they weren't even acknowledged, counted on the night.
Oh.
So.
Okay, then give it another 2 weeks. Like, what the fuck's 2 months?
Exactly. The original article that I saw, it said, okay, October 30th, now it's saying not November 20th, so, I don't know what the hold-up is. Is there just more chance for corruption to go on and secret, suddenly votes be changed slightly? But
do you think there's the ability for our votes to be manipulated just in our general election? I mean, sure that you hear about it in all other parts of the world? Like, do you think that happens here? Or do you think, like, the results that we've been told so far are literally just everybody's votes?
I think with any system, I mean, if you look at the principle of copying and copyright with software, anything can be manipulated to be copied or destroyed, including votes. I can't speculate as to how vulnerable we are. I have a certain degree of confidence in our electoral system, but I can't actually hand on heart say that we have a foolproof system.
If we voted by blockchain, we'd be able to see our little key of vote into the communal vote wallet of blockchain voting.
And
I'd like to
also,
see. Then you'd be able to see, like, you were unique number 146 of however many thousand votes for this party.
yep, and you'd also be able to see the existence of the chain. So you wouldn't be able to identify individuals, but you'd be able to reverse engineer to give assurance that the record is true and correct. So, I'm starting to sound like a national voter who just wants the vote to be different, but, it is what it is, and 3 more years till we can have better lives, and that's okay.
Unless they fuck up immensely and we can get them out.
Yeah, true.
Force an early election or something. A vote of no confidence.
So that's that. I don't know how to segue into the next thing, but I did want to talk briefly about my old mate Ice Cube. Now, we know him as a rapper. We know him as a member of NWA. We know him
as a movie star.
And as a movie star, he started out by independently funding his first movie, True Story. And he was famously known to be the guy that smashed up the office of his manager.
Oh.
I only remember his first name, Brian, because of that scene in the movie. Where's my money, Brian? But Ice Cube has also apparently now gotten into the world of politics. Now, I'm going to speed summarize. I'm not going to be very detailed at all, but my take on what's going on for Mr. Cube is that he's fed up. He's fed up with the oppressive government system of America, and he wanted to do something practical about it. And I think there's something really commendable about that, to say, okay, I'm not just going to talk about it, I'm actually going to do it. And if you guys look at the chat right now, what Mr. Cube did was develop a position paper. I'll just find my scene.
Well, you find the scene, Jane, there was a message of hello a little while ago. Vader Khan 59, hello.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Hi, guys.
Vader Khan 59, and just while we're at it, for completeness, I'll just make sure I haven't missed anything over on D-Live. I haven't. So there's the position paper that Mr. Cube developed, and I certainly don't want to be streaming my D-Live dashboard, so let's sort that out beforehand. And so I'll leave it to everybody at home to sort of read through that. I don't see it as valuable content for me to read it to you. There's a summarized version that you'll find in HTML, and then you've got a full 22-page, can we say, dossier? It sounds very formal. 22-page document laying out Mr. Cube's plans for the future. One thing I wanted to point everybody to, which I thought was really interesting in this document, though, was the federal funding of baby bonds. Now I've heard examples of this around the world. I think Australia has a baby bond type system in place. I think we were talking about it at one point, dabbling in should we give every family $5,000 for every baby. And then what he's also proposing here is something for people born into lower wealth families, contributions up to $46,500 a year. Each year up until the age of 18. Wow. So you'd be able to access those funds at that time. You can tell I read this before the show, lol. The other thing which I thought was really interesting when I was doing more background outside of the website was that Ice Cube's entire proposal would cost $500 billion. And he's seeking that both campaigns, the Biden and the Trump campaign, whoever wins, implement this within their first 100 days. He also speaks to judicial reform. I was just going to bring this up. He wants to eliminate mandatory minimum sentences and 3 strikes laws. He wants to implement a civil rights division for justice. And would you believe that lynching is not yet a federal hate crime? So he wants to ensure that happens. Probably the last thing I really want to mention about this before going into what's happened for Cube, though, is he's also suggesting that every black American get a one-time interest-free loan towards home ownership. I just feel that would be amazingly expensive. Amazingly expensive.
Interest-free loan.
Interest-free loan for a house.
But they said it only costs $500 billion.
Yeah.
Or is that not inclusive?
I doubt that
do you not see that
inclusive.
$500 billion is expensive, Simon?
Oh, I'd say that is expensive, but I see people being able to rack up, mortgages.
It's still a loan, so you'd take out the loan and you'd have principal to pay. So if you bought, I don't know, let's throw figures out. Like if you bought a house for $500,000, you'd be on the line for $500,000. You just wouldn't be on the line for anything else.
You'd be on the line for your house, really.
Yeah.
That's how banks make their money.
Yeah, and then the question has to be, well, who's paying the banks to be okay with that?
Fuck the Federal Reserve, it's a private company anyway.
Well, that's another topic for another stream. So
I just googled, Jade, quickly. The annual budget that the US spends on the military is $725 billion a year. So it'd be two-thirds of their annual military budget.
So he's asking for a fair bob. Yeah, and I guess so this is all fine. You can read this document at your leisure. You may or may not agree with all of Mr. Cube's policy positions. I'm told by reading other sources that Ice Cube engaged experts to arrive at these positions.
I can't imagine he has any of all the different law aspects of that contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think this is awesome. in terms of being revolutionary or out there, big picture thinking.
As I said, this is a guy that did something. Yeah, and I really commend that. Like, I don't have to agree with everything that he says, but I guess I'll bring you to the Twitter feed.
When's the
Oh,
contract of New Zealand disabled people coming out, Jade?
the yeah, that is a good question, Simon. And I'm sort of looking at this document and thinking, yeah, what a baseline, what a good guide, because I suppose I hadn't really thought about how it was actually gonna like form. Like, even though we've had some delays in coming up with the position, I've still been thinking about form, I suppose. I'm trying to find that link. Why does this... Did you know that I hate the new Facebook?
If anybody else would like my opinion on the matter, I also absolutely hate the new Facebook.
Like, I
It's
can't
like they've tried to
find
make it
any...
look like a phone.
Yeah. I found it anyway. So everybody fuck Facebook and all the rest.
Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. You can't see me pointing the fingers, but I am.
So what do I want to show you? Just real quick to round this up, I just wanted to point to what it's been like for Ice Cube since he developed this position paper. Unfortunately, a large majority of the African American community have not been pleased with Ice Cube around this. So this is a tweet where he says, "I hope all these people with podcasts and radio shows telling the world I'm too underqualified and uneducated to talk about a document I created don't get asked to pull out their communications degrees and show you they are qualified and educated enough to speak to you of the airwaves." And I think that's really relevant. I would say that everyone has a voice. Everybody should have the opportunity to develop a position on whatever they like. We can argue about the pros and cons of something being informed by experts, and the more you tumble down the rabbit hole, the more you realize that nobody is an expert. But hopefully I'm able to grab some of the examples here. I didn't want to take screenshots because I'd be there all day. Yeah, all I can see are people supporting him at the moment. But what I will say, here's one I'll point to, and then we'll leave it at that. The problem is you are coming in and claiming that the only way for politicians to speak to black issues is to cater to you, and your disrespect for black leaders and organizations that have been fighting these fights for years. Nobody anointed you the CEO of Black America. And I just feel like this kind of debate is certainly not uncommon to me through some of the collaborative projects that I do. Everybody wants to be a leader. Nothing much gets done. One dude pokes his head out and everybody just seeks to take him down. Simon, what's your take on the response? I mean, I know I only read out one tweet, but you've got the feed on you as well. Got any thoughts?
Is he trying to be the CEO of Black
No.
America?
No,
Nah.
he's not.
It's like, are any of those things he's trying to get in place detrimental to black people? If not, then why are you angry? He's trying to push the envelope.
Exactly.
Trying to highlight this to the president to actually make it a priority where presidents have not known how to engage and how to support people. He's gone out, actually spoken to people, he's got experts to support him to write this, and it's a beginning point, you know. If the president is going to be implementing it, they're going to be either following the position paper or adapting it with the community's understanding. I think something needs to be done. I know this is slightly left field, but obviously there's a lot of Black Americans in America right now who are just rioting and not achieving anything, not getting anything done. So isn't this somewhere to begin? And a lot of organisations, like they say, oh, well, we've been fighting for years. Well, shut up. Just accept that he's got this in front of the potential presidents. And actually...
Fighting for years, but he's actually got a platform.
Yeah.
He's actually in a position to click his fingers and say, okay, experts, make me a website and let's go get this shit done. And that's what he's done.
And what they should do, those people who are complaining about, say, okay, he's gone and done that. Hey, I want to feed into Ice Cube's paper and actually talk to him further about how it's developed and what we've been doing for years.
Alright, Simon, I'm going to play a video just now. If you want to switch to the delayed feed, live feed. But this, I just want to play a small segment of Ice Cube's in-person response to some of the feedback that he's been getting. And I just want to check my levels because I'm only going to do this once. So I might bring that back up. And
yeah, I won't be able to hear what he says, unfortunately.
Yeah, just watch the delayed feed.
We have to think about ourselves. You know, we love all the other races of the world, but at some point we got to figure out how do we get ahead, because everybody's on top of us but us. Or everybody's on top of us. And shit ain't gonna work. We ain't gonna survive this the way it's going. It's just designed that I can't see the future. So we gotta change this shit. Everybody's been mad at me because I haven't been on the fucking, you know, the gravy train of these candidates, you know, especially Joe Biden and Harris. You know, I don't trust none of them. No president has done right by us. So I don't trust none of them. So putting our hopes and dreams behind any of them just don't work. We gotta make them do what we want them to do. And there's only a few ways to do that. Now, I've been making contacts, trying to, you know, talk about these real issues, you know. You know, straight up, I believe the Democrats they've been nice, you know, they've been cordial, so to speak. You know, I don't really see them pushing their policies in any different direction. You know, they're still talking this minority, people of color shit that don't necessarily include us, that don't necessarily include Black Americans, especially descendants of slaves, ADOS, American descendants of slaves. That ain't specifically us, it's everybody. We ain't gonna get shit. Because when you look around, everybody hate us. So we still at the bottom of that. So, I think the Democrats, they got every black celebrity and shit on their team, so they just figure, tell Q to shut the fuck up and vote. And so, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna push the program. We got a program, I'm pushing it on everybody.
So we'll leave it at that. Absolutely mind-blowing position statement there from my good mate Ice Cube. Simon.
I'd love a summary, thanks.
Summary?
Yeah, I couldn't hear him.
Oh, right. So he's basically saying he's doing this for Black America. He's sick of the Democrat Party being for minorities. America is supposed to be for America. He's not seeing Black Americans being well served by policies from the Democrat Party. He wants to get stuff done. He's tired of the racist tropes, and he just wants to see people live better lives. Is that a fair summary of what he said, Hannah?
One other thing he said, which is a really good point, is he said, I don't trust any politician to just make changes. That is why I gotta do it. We gotta start actually putting it towards them and actually saying what is it that we need. And and he said, we are not. What does minority mean? It does not always include Black Americans who are descendants from slaves. How is America supporting Americans?
Amazing. So, you said that you've been following this for a little while, Simon. Any final thoughts before we move on to your segment?
Yeah, so when I say that I've been following it, I've seen Ice Cube get some flack when other prominent black celebrities for not supporting the Democratic Party and without question. These people who just don't buy into the like you were saying, if you don't vote Democrats,
if you ain't black.
That sort of argument is so counterproductive to any sort of sophisticated democratic conversation. You don't tie yourself to you've got some interesting comments in the chat.
Yeah. I wasn't going to read those, actually. Like, for the sake of the recording later, we'll just forget that we saw those.
No worries. I thought maybe potentially somebody you knew was sending their love for you.
No, my goodness me. No one's asked me for a long time to see my titties, so...
Yeah. So I don't think any sort of race should be tied to a political party because they're supposed to be the one that represents their issues. Everybody should represent your issues.
Amazing. Well, I wish Ice Cube the best of luck. I look forward to tracking the momentum of the contract for Black America. I really look forward to seeing what comes of it, and as I said, very close to home, I'll sort of be analysing the document maybe as a model to use for other work, Simon.
Yeah, that's right. I think I will be coming out soon with a contract for working with white, bald New Zealanders.
Nice. And how
we're discriminated against.
Are you?
We've always have been.
Yeah. So but at the same time, when you get pulled over by a cop, you actually end up alive at the end of it.
I mean, that's because I know how to loosen a few buttons,
Oh yeah,
and
show them big old titties.
yeah, that's right.
Cool. Now I'm thinking about Simon with implants. But anyway, should we move? Should we move to your segment, Simon? I'm actually really fascinated. I know you sent me some links while we were live, but please feel free to take us through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's much value in watching the video. Like, it might be worth just sharing the link. You could bring it up, I guess,
Oh,
just to
the
show up
video.
the Twitter thread, the post that I sent you in the
Yeah.
DMs is a Twitter video.
Okay.
It's Rudy Giuliani, the mayor of New York City.
How long was
Is
it?
he? It's like a few minutes, I think. It's not long. Shorter
Oh,
than what we
it's a
just sat.
minute. We could show this. We could show this.
Oh yeah. But basically, if you haven't been following along, Hunter Biden, who is a drug addict, well established, been to rehab a few times, has basically what the story is that he dropped off a computer to get repaired. The hard drive was then leaked to someone within Trump's circle, and now Rudy Giuliani is doing media appearances and displaying some of the alleged contents in that video. So he's showing some of the text messages from Hunter Biden in there. But basically, what is so grotesque about his laptop is that there is a massive treasure trove of work emails, similar to Hillary Clinton's private server that got leaked. Rest in peace, Seth Rich, the Democratic staffer who paid his life for those emails coming to light. But yeah, so basically what happened with Hunter Biden's laptop is that there's all these work emails that talk about his dodgy kickbacks and arranging meetings with Joe Biden and providing access for money, and then a bunch of deals with China, and then it gets to the gross stuff, which is apparently a massive pile of naked pictures of himself, but then also child abuse material. They didn't say whether it's him in the child abuse material. I think there was some claims that he is involved in it, but yeah, essentially there is some really sick shit on that laptop, similar to that conversation we had a few weeks ago, Jade, about the guy Anthony Weiner that made 9 police officers in the NYPD commit suicide in 1 year.
Wow.
This guy, Hunter Biden's laptop, had some pretty similar stuff.
My goodness me. And
So if you wanted to bring up the video,
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'll bring up the video. Yeah. I got it here. I just wanted to give you the airtime to finish your opening statement. Here we go. So this is a video featuring Rudy Giuliani, everybody.
I'm going to mute myself so I can listen.
Is Joe Biden eligible to be president after that?
If your son is a pedophile, probably not. I'm saying, sorry, mate. You probably
Yeah.
don't have the skill set to be a president. There's probably the potential for Donald Trump's son to be involved in that stuff, but I don't see it happening.
If you can't
And do you remember?
Sorry,
But do you remember? I saw a tweet that came up after this video, and do you remember how they were saying that Donald Trump was on the phone withholding aid to Ukraine, looking for dirt on Joe Biden?
It was completely
The
the
Burisma
opposite.
deal.
It was completely the opposite.
But wouldn't that make sense, right? Like if this material on Hunter Biden's laptop shows that they were being crooked in their access, that potentially there was, some validity to what Donald Trump was trying to do and get some information. But I'm interested to hear what you said about it being the opposite.
Yeah, so it wasn't Trump withholding; it was actually Joe Biden. So the situation occurred while President Obama was still in office. His son was being investigated because of business dealings with the Ukraine energy company, which I can't remember and can't pronounce.
Burisma.
Okay.
Burisma, yeah.
So he was under investigation. Joe Biden said, "I'm not giving you the $1 billion until you fire the investigator and put this all away." Donald Trump was just simply in a meeting with the Ukrainians and said, "Did that actually happen?" That's like literally all they said. Did that actually happen? Do you need anything from America? We're very sorry about that. That's literally all Donald Trump did, and then the left media flipped that whole thing and said that Trump was trying to dig dirt. It's not digging dirt to ask one question about a thing that the Ukraine president mentioned to you. That's not really digging dirt.
No. And that, like I said, I guess, thank you for
Yeah.
clearing that up for me, but that does validate the stuff that's coming out on this laptop.
Yeah.
It all it all is, it all links up.
I
But
mean,
it's gross, bro. It's disgusting without any of the global politics involved. The fact that there's pictures and videos of this guy and little girls it's disgusting.
I mean, what's going on in America? R. Kelly's doing it, Jeffrey Epstein's doing it, a whole bunch of other people that are not famous yet are doing it.
The thing is like, I have this, and I was thinking about talking about this yesterday while I was at the gym. I have this fascination with how ancient history becomes modern day and how people treat it so differently in terms of like how relevant it is. Like our history was somebody's present day. Like there is no moment where things become history. It just, time just marches on forward. So there was secret societies, people in black hoods making sacrifices and doing satanic shit thousands of years ago. And the fact that people just think that doesn't happen anymore is like a little bit concerning, like that kind of stuff just doesn't stop randomly.
So hold on. So you're saying we need to accept these activities as reality, or what are you saying? What are you saying?
It's not a new phenomena. I'm saying there's always been a shadowy, elite, powerful group of people that have a truer understanding of the nature of our reality, the nature of our human existence. They've destroyed a lot of information. There's things like the Vatican archives. There's the Lost Library of Alexandria. There is this common theme throughout history of hoarding and hiding the truth and all the knowledge and all of the power. And at some point soon, we need to, as a collective, combat that. And that's why I think things seem so wonky right now, is that we're starting to see that. I think we're starting to see the illusion fall away. People are starting to look into things a bit deeper, but also the con's gone on so long that things are just falling over now.
How do you know that we're not being manipulated into thinking we're looking into something when actually that's entirely what they want us to do?
Who knows? Potentially.
I mean, again, that's very tinfoil hat, but like, yeah, at what point? Because you said earlier in the podcast, like, people don't like to think about the implications of their decisions. They vote, but they don't really care. What if those secret societies have literally designed life that way? Like it's fascinating to me how we go to school, then we go to work, then we get a job, and then we might establish a career, and then you might get married, have children, get older, get some more hobbies.
It's the rat race, bro.
The pattern is very predictable. No,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
and you know that pattern in particular seeks to serve industry. Like I was reading something recently where, like, have we even thought about how schools were designed? Schools were designed by the manufacturing industry to ensure they had a continual workforce of people to manufacture products and big machinery. Did you know that schools weren't designed by community? They were designed by a manufacturing society.
I hadn't read that anywhere, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
So the mere fact we go to school at all is a signal that, right, you're on track. You're gonna be productive for somebody one day, and a select few people break out of that. Mark Zuckerberg being a great example. I'd probably point to Elon as well.
I mean, Elon, he came from a pretty successful family.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
His dad was an emerald mine owner in South Africa, making millions of dollars exploiting poor people to pull precious metals out of the ground.
I did not know that. So he's not
Yeah,
independently wealthy?
His dad then gave him the money to produce some startups and then eventually get eBay. Or was it PayPal?
PayPal. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, not eBay, PayPal.
But, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, like, regardless of whether he was upper middle class or whatever, I mean, he was at Harvard, but still.
He stole that idea, didn't he? Didn't he steal Facebook off people?
That, maybe, but that's got nothing to do with breaking out of the rat race. He's done it, right?
It could. I mean, he's probably a CIA asset. Maybe all social media is a CIA asset. I mean, would make sense.
And the last two examples I'll point to is Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. Now there's no questioning their history at all. Those guys.
Well, there is.
Really? What do you got for me on these dudes?
So the same guy who produced that thread that we started discussing, he's got threads on Bill Gates and not so much Steve Jobs, but definitely. So Bill Gates, allegedly, this is just me recalling the information I remembered from this thread. So allegedly, Bill Gates' father is a eugenicist and friends with the Rockefellers, who are part of the group that owned the Federal Reserve and established it at the beginning. So Bill Gates' father, was a Freemason, and was a part of the most powerful groups of businessmen in the foundation of America.
Simon continues to shatter my understanding of reality every single week.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I love that. I love that Simon goes deep like that because he's been like, oh, I know who Bill Gates is. I know who Steve Jobs is. No, you don't. Wow. Yeah, the rat race.
Yeah.
It's gross. And people just accept it though, eh? Like, did you understand that the schools weren't actually designed by community, they were designed by industry?
Was that to me or Hannah?
Hannah.
Ah, yeah.
No, but I had a feeling that is how they were.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, you know, that there were only set topics for girls and boys. And
Actually, that is a thing. Now that
Yeah.
you mention it, back in the day, it was exactly like that.
sewing, cooking, and typewriting for girls. So one learned how to have a family, basically, cooking, cleaning, and then sewing. So maybe get a job, and then you could possibly leave school and become a typist.
That's amazing.
Yeah, schools, really are about indoctrination. We should really, and, there are some newer models of schooling where in the first years when they're at school, they don't do any sort of assessment. They focus on ethics and principles. They don't so much study subjects.
Japan.
Yeah. And then I don't know if there's a place for intense specification or like narrow focus through study, but there is something to be said about finding what drives individuals and relating their learning and their schooling around that for them.
Yeah, no. Like I look at my own daughter and like I'm probably being a little bit hyperbolic, but if I remember dropping her off at school in the kind of inquisitive mind that she had when I dropped her off at school the first time, and she seems to now sort of accept rules. She's like rewarded for understanding parameters and stopping at them and understanding them and just unlocking the parameters as they're told to her. And
Did you ever used to get in trouble for being the kid who asked why?
yeah, I still am that kid.
Yeah, I was. I mean, it got beaten out of me, but it's one of the earliest memories I have, and one that's not earliest, but one of the strongest memories I have of a young kid is just consistently asking why. That something was this way. Why? But because of this. Well, why? Because of that. Because and just you get to the point where adults get frustrated that they need to explain something, and then that's where that the towing the line comes from.
Yeah.
That's where the accepting of reality comes from, because people just get tired of explaining things, and it is this way because it's always been this way.
In little small ways, what I do to sort of combat that is I like to get in creative mode with my daughter and just be like, show me something, create me something, or let's like get a piece of paper and design the perfect house or design the perfect farm, or just be like really imaginative. I really try. I don't have her that much in a week, so I really pain myself to sort of come up with ways that I could exercise that muscle for her. Because if I'm honest, I really wish that my parents knew the damage that school was doing. And I mean, school's not for every kid, and that's because those kids it's not for, those are the ones that are actually thinking, right? You know what I mean? So I really try to just, like, ask her open-ended questions or demand that she show me something that doesn't exist, or ask her questions like, if you could, how would you? Kind of questions, go really really broad. Not to the extent of the question of the week, of course, because I'll probably break her poor brain, but similar questions, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something to be said about experiencing pure creation.
Yep.
Like, it is one of the purest forms of joy and fulfillment is to, and it's what, I mean, we talked about Nikola Tesla and him not having any of his ideas within his brain and accessing them from what he called the ether, or this
Yep.
unified field of consciousness and understanding. That's where creation comes from. You don't have the concept in your brain. You must download it from somewhere. And that's what I think is really cool about what you're doing with your daughter. I think that's awesome, Jade.
Yeah, and like, to be clear for anybody, watching this on demand later or watching this on YouTube or wherever we stick it, I'm not anti-school. I think there is definitely, like, basic fundamentals that it's beneficial for children to understand. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, all of that is fine. I'm just about iffy about the rest. Yeah, yeah. You want your children to be able to speak good English and, write well. It's not even about the writing, actually, because saying write well could actually be quite ableist. But I suppose as long as our children can communicate effectively, however that is for them, whether they want to write, type, or whatever they want to do with it, speak. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm just about iffy about how much we instill conformity in the children. Like I don't know.
Oh, uniforms, bro. I don't get uniforms. Why the fuck do we need uniforms?
Cost saving. So let me tell you something. It's about the parents and the parents that may not be able to have a variety of clothes for the child. If everybody wears the same thing, you don't know the difference as to whether I'm wearing uniform number 5 for the week or the same one I wore on Monday. It's a cost saving mechanism. And it's also
I think that's a cop out, though. I mean, I get it, but I think it's a cop out and doesn't address a bigger issue, which is poverty, and creates a secondary issue of adhering to authority without clear reason. Like, you're going to tell your kids, well, the reason we all wear a uniform is because Timmy in your class is poor as shit and can't afford more than one t-shirt and shorts. Like, you're not going to say that to your kids. They're just going to say, you have to wear uniform because that's what the principal and the teachers want you to do. Like, how do you explain that to kids? How would you tell your daughter that she wears a uniform because parents can't afford to clothe their kids appropriately, and that other kids will then make fun of them because of it? Like,
so real talk. I am so into this. I don't mind talking about this. My daughter does wear a uniform, so this is very close to home. And I remember the principal. He liked to have like 2 meetings with new parents coming in. So I had 2 meetings with the principal, and one of the things I said is, I'd be really keen if you dropped the uniform. Like policy wise, there's not a lot holding uniforms in place. It's just they're just sort of there. It's a 1 paragraph that says the board of trustees endorse the uniforms supplied by this company. for the design of the uniform, see this document. Very, very simple. Rip it out. Done.
Maybe the board of trustees have ownership or a friendship with the uniform company.
But I'm with you. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, just because I have an understanding of why it's in place, I'm with you. It shouldn't be there. And I think saying without. Sorry, what?
Didn't you actually have a personal situation where you were actually going to be sent to detention when you were a kid for...
Oh, yep. Yeah, I could probably talk about that. So
That's one thing I found fascinating for that.
I don't know if this is valuable content. Simon, tell me to move on. You know, we're it's a team effort here, but I'll just say for a second that in regards to uniform, I went to a school that had one. I don't mind shouting out actually. Tekapuna Grammar represent. So I went there, and their uniform for boys was shorts year round, like shorts. And my mum had sort of said to me, "Well, shorts are no good for you because you've got lower circulation. You need to wear pants so that your legs don't end up blue and you don't get other health problems." So my mum bought me some grey pants and said, "You're not exactly complying, but close enough."
Mm.
I was nearly expelled for trying to look
After your health.
look after my health. Like that, my mum had gone to such lengths. Like she even got the exact grey, like the exact grey of the shorts. It wasn't a rebellion. It wasn't like this out there protest to the school. It was literally just because my legs do get cold. Yeah.
That's so crazy that they decided to fight that. So,
Yeah.
like, when there is so many obvious reasons to just accept and then embrace that, and be like, oh yeah, let's be inclusive and you know, welcoming and make a slight acceptance to a different pair of pants that are the same color, different length of fabric. Like, essentially that's what it boils down to, is if you were really, really tall, like extremely tall, those same pants that you wore would have been compliant with the
Yeah.
had you rolled them up your legs a little bit,
Yeah.
had you cut them off, compliant. But no, because there was a little bit too much long fabric in comparison to your leg,
Yeah.
expelled. That is just so funny.
And I wasn't expelled. Like we worked through it with the dean and the rest. But the point is the suggestion was that because my material was too long, I could potentially be expelled. And I say again, my mum got the exact grey. Like it was in no way a rebellion or anything disrespecting the school. I wasn't wearing bright yellow pants to school. It wasn't anything like that. The exact grey she found. And
Oh man, I spend so many lunchtimes inside because I'd wear like a white singlet under my uniform top, and you'd see the trim of it hanging out the bottom, or I'd wear like a non uniform hoodie or jacket, or they had this stupid rule where you couldn't wear like your sports team jacket. Like, say I played rugby for the school, you get a different jacket to wear before you warm up and all that, and it's a thicker material and way better design than like the other normal like uniform. But it carried, you know, it said Orewa College. Shout out Orewa College on the coast. Yeah, Orewa College. Funny enough,
Nice.
you could wear mufti in year 13. So you made it through uniform all the way up, and then you got to wear mufti in year 13. We were the
Same.
last year. I think we were the last year. They discontinued it after we finished, which was quite funny. The one thing they also discontinued after our year is the walk to school bus. So on the last day of school, we'd start on the peninsula at like 6 in the morning, drink all the way to school on the side of the road, and then turn up to school like pissed ass.
That sounds like a time for the principal to deal with.
I mean, the year before us, they clamped down on us. They wanted to end it, but we did it anyway. But the year before us, there was like reports of recycling bins ending up all over the road, people passing out in front lawns. Like, it wasn't a good look at all. But I thought it was quite funny that they tried to stop it, and we still did it. And then I don't know if it continues on to this day, but they tried to stamp it out.
Yeah, the whole mufti in Year 13, I suppose, with the focus being on study in Year 13, you're hardly ever there, from what I recall.
I was there quite a lot, and gosh, bless the Lord for girls in mufti. I mean, compared to the school uniform, that made it all the sweeter to come to school.
I don't know. I don't know if it's my leaning to like anime, but there was always something really sweet about a girl in uniform. You know, it's just like nice, not in a like a attraction like thirsty kind of way. Just nice. You look at a girl, you look at a girl in uniform and like yeah, like even when I travel around and I see you know a girl in hotel uniform, I'm like, wow, you know, she looks really nice. I like
agree.
Yeah.
I think girls in a hotel are different. It's like the your rating scales just get a bit wonky when you're in a hotel, especially if you're in a different region. Your your sixes and tens and numbers in between kind of can go a bit funny.
Yeah, you
You're
start
working behind the desk.
you start allowing for fours depending how far away from home you are.
Yeah, that's right. And whether it was happy hour downstairs or not.
Oh god, we're falling into a rabbit hole, Simon. I actually think this is a good place to leave the podcast for the evening. As always, Simon, I've really enjoyed your company. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate cementing my spot on the Epic Wednesday podcast. Again. I guess we all brought some pretty cool topics to the floor, and you know, it wasn't just the same topic.
No, definitely.
Every discussion, yeah.
And we're gonna look at different ways to promote this, get people coming along. I'm having a real look at the promotional program and what we can do. Sorry to say, Simon, but part of it includes dragging you to a photographer potentially. So I'll be in touch around that.
If I can put them on my Tinder profile, you can get me.
Once they're taken and once I've got what I need, you can do whatever with the rest. How's that?
Yeah, I'll wait till you leave and I'll get some topless shots with the photographer.
What, holding a fish maybe as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Up close to the camera, so it's an optical illusion.
Yeah. So you put them off the measuring. Anyway, thank you to everybody listening to this, either live or after the fact. We really appreciate your time and attention. If you're on Twitch, !social in the chat to find all the social links. This is available on YouTube and everywhere that good podcasts are. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of the channel. Thank you for being part of the journey.
Please stay awesome, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.